Let's take raw data and distribute it in a distribution so that it's easier to look at. We sample 15 people and record their heights measured in centimeters, so there should be 15 numbers there. Let's build a frequency distribution using 5 classes. So I want to separate the range of the data into 5 partitions, or rather I want to partition it into 5 disjoint intervals, and I want to sort my data that way. And we'll represent this frequency distribution as a t-chart and as a histogram. Let's get started. If I want to distribute my data, first I have to figure out how much space my data takes up. And it looks like my smallest is 143 right there. It looks like my largest is 179. So let's just make those nicer numbers. Let's say that our data is going to go from 140 all the way to 180, right? That is a big enough range to capture my data. Now I want to use 5 classes. So I'm going to put 5 classes here. 3, 4, 5. So how much space does that data take up? 180 minus 140, that's a space of 40 centimeters. And I want to squeeze 5 classes in there. So 40 divided by 5 gives me 8. So let's make a frequency distribution in which each class has a class width of 8. So here's the t-chart. The classes will be the ranges of the heights, and the frequencies will be the number of individuals that fall inside each one of our 5 classes. So if I start at 140, and I want a class width of 8, then that means my next class is going to pick up at 148. So that means my first class needs to end at 147.9. Now, notice that I'm measuring out to the tenths place when my data is given to me without any decimals. That's because I don't want my first class to end at, so to start at 140 and then to end at 148. And then my next class to also begin at 148, because then if I have a heart rate, sorry, not a heart rate, if I have a height of 148 centimeters, does it go in the first class or does it go into the second class? So to avoid that, we measure to the tenths place, and now all of our data is going to fall into one and only one class. So the first class is going to go from 140 to 147.9. The next class picks up at 148.0. And if I add 8 to that, I would get 150, what is that? 156. So this one will go from 155.9. The next class will pick up at 156. And if you do everything right, you should have 5 classes that go from 140 all the way over to 180. So that class is going to go from 156. The next one is going to pick up at 164. So my third class is going to end at 163.9. Let's see, the fourth class is going to go from 164. If I add 8 to that, I get 172. So this will be 171.9. This will pick up at 172. And I get 179.9. Right? It's important that all of your classes are the same size, and they're all a class width of 8, because we define class width as lower limit minus lower limit, or upper limit minus upper limit. Okay, so these are all the classes. Now we just have to sort the data. So if you go over to your table, or not your table, if you go over to the set of heights that you have there, we just need to sort. So how many fall between 140 and 147.9? This one. So let's look for a maximum of 147. Not that one, not that one. Almost the 149, but not quite. In fact, I think we only have one. In fact, let's leave them circled so that we know that we don't have to count them again. How many data fall between 148 and 155.9? 148 and 155. This one, and this one, and this one, and this one. So we've got 4 there. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, how many data fall between 156 and 163.9? We've got 3 there. How many data fall between 164 and 171.9? 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 172 to 179.9, we've only got that one right there. So let's double count. Double count. We should have 15 heights here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Right, so we got all of our heights. That's a frequency distribution. Let's also represent that frequency distribution as a histogram. So we'll put our frequencies here. So the height of each bar is going to tell us how many individuals are inside each class. And let's put class 1 right there, class 2, class 3, class 4, and class 5. So each one of these is a small range. All right, so if I'm going to build the heights of my histogram, the biggest value that I see is 6. All right, so we've got 1 individual in class 1. We have 4 individuals in class 2, 3 individuals in class 3, 6 individuals in class 4. That contains the most people. And only 1 individual in class 5. All right, so building a frequency distribution is really no more complicated than just sorting your data.